Hello, we are about to start our 1-point perspective cityscape from a dramatic perspective, looking up from the ground to the top of skyscrapers. So let's get started. I'll show you the ropes. Here are the supplies we'll need. I've got one of the least chewed up rulers in my collection here at school. And so I've also got a collection of pencils here. We've got our eraser, an 8B dark wash pencil, and a regular B pencil for some of the lighter lines that we're going to make. First things first, we're going to try and pick an interesting spot for the bulk of our negative space. So in a way, this piece is a lot about negative space. So I'm just going to say, imagining my rule of thirds, I want to put my bulk of my negative space somewhere around where these thirds meet on this side. So that means I'm going to put my vanishing point somewhere over here. All right, now I've just got to start selecting some places to put lines. So some of these lines I can make thin and thick and medium. So at this point, I'm just trying to give the piece plenty of variety, all right? Now, I've got to decide what the tops of my buildings are going to look like and where they're going to end. So I'm going to stick primarily to buildings that are flat on top. What I want, though, is I want some variety. So I'm going to make some of them really tall, some of them short. I just want some rhythm here. And I gotta decide which ones I want to be buildings and which ones I want to be negative space. Make a really tall one here. All right, I think I like that. Now it's time to erase the things I don't need. Okay, now I need sufficient detail. So I need to come in and put my windows and things like that in. So there are several ways I can do this. I can do it just like I did with my interior space. I can start drawing in windows. I can make them. Usually what I do is I try to make my lines a little larger than what I need. I just remember that I want these things to get bigger as they go closer to me. Let's say I want my windows to be about this wide. So then I got to come run those back to my vanishing point. Erase the lines I don't need. I can also do windows in this kind of style. And I want them to grow as they go down because they're getting closer to me. I'm doing a cityscape looking up, right? Now, I don't care too much whether I get every single incidence of this correct. If these end up being a little expressive, that's fine. I just want you guys to mostly understand this technique. You can measure it out, make everything precise, or you can be a little more freeform, but the main thing I want to see is that your lines all go back to the vanishing point. So I want to make sure you understand that concept. I'm going to get a bit more expressive with mine in a minute. I'm going to have all these real straight edge, oops, we missed one, straight edge lines. And then I'm going to come back and go over it with a dark wash. All right, so here we are. One thing you might notice is that on some of these, my windows get a little wider on one side than they are on the other. Okay, what's happening here is I made this big old fat vanishing point so that you guys could see it. And what happens when you make your vanishing point real fat like that, so I don't recommend doing this, I'm just doing this so you can see it on the video. You want to make a little bitty vanishing point. When you make a big vanishing point, all of the lines can really get off because you could lead every line up to over here, or you could lean it all the way up over here, and that's like a 32nd of an inch right there. That's a big difference. That's gonna, and as that goes out, it's gonna grow exponentially. Okay, so I'm leaving this as it's a teaching moment just to show you guys what can go wrong. And also, you know, if you haven't figured out by now, I'm a very expressive artist. I would love it if all of these windows were very wobbly and distorted. I love to distort things. That's one of the powers, I believe, that you have by making representational art. When you make abstract art, you definitely have benefits to that as well, but one of the things you lose that layer of the ability to distort recognizable objects. No one knows if you're distorting things that just come purely from your spirit, that are abstract, that have no, concrete example, but they can tell the distortion, which adds energy and meaning to pieces that have a representational subject. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to get rid of this now. We can go through a painstaking process of erasing all of this negative space. But what I think I'll do is I'll make this a nighttime scene. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start filling this in. Look at this 8B. What a rich, dark, wonderful value. So we want some really good value ranges in here. You guys need a good value range, some pretty high contrast. Remember, that's in the rubric. That means you want some darks, some lights, and we want a rich value range, so we want every value in between. Didn't have this done right here, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. I might make it negative space, I might not. I'm going to wait and see what everything looks like when I get this blacked out. All right, a couple more things you might have noticed, and they're both related to each other. One, I said that at the beginning I was going to use a dark wash pencil. That means this is water soluble. So it has a little blue strip around here. And so it's much like the watercolor pencils we've been using. And I didn't color these in, I didn't shade these in particularly neat because I'm going to go back over it and loosen it up with water and a brush. And so you guys probably won't have access to something like this, but I want a good value range out of your work, shading it in. You'll have more time to work on it than I do here on this demo. But I want to toy around with this idea of these really straight geometric lines that are kind of precise, though I can never get too precise. I think it goes against every grain in me. maybe when I'm woodworking or something like that that requires craftsmanship. But when I'm making fine art, it really goes against my grain to try and make everything so constrained and robotic. But I like toying around with this idea of these like loose, uncontrollable, watery values overlaying these very precise geometric lines. So that's what I'm going to do. So I just did like I did with my watercolor pencils and kind of loosened all this up. Got the composition I wanted. So I'll come back, darken these lines, punch up my contrast once this dries, and I'll show you the finished product. Now our drawing is dry. Let's go check on it. So let's go ahead and go over some of our lines, darken up some of our darks again, kind of selectively punch up our contrast here and there, and fix little mistakes, and then we'll call this project done. That's it for this demo. I hope it helps. Until next time.